Chris, Barrie, can we have a round of applause, please? Who's sitting in with?
Who guesses who's getting the school seat?
Who's getting the school seat?
Damn, I'm in the uncomfortable one.
I've got the charity seat, look, I mean, it's...
How did I know that you'd win this?
But have I won?
Depends if you press that button.
It's quite hard on the old buttocks.
I think Crichton's somewhere around here. That's room service.
Well, okay. Well, we can hope and pray. There we go.
We get paid per answer.
That'd be cool if anybody wants to donate, we can do. Anyway, first and foremost, thank you very much for coming today, both of you. And as you can see, there's people here wanting to know about your characters, what you've done in Red Dwarf, etc. Now, you've been asked hundreds, thousands of questions. Have you ever been asked, what is your favourite scene?
Favourite scene. Has anybody here got favourite scene?
Favourite scene? Yeah.
I was asked that this very day.
You was asked today? Yep. Ah, there we go.
So I've rehearsed it.
This has been
Not
rehearsed.
the entire scene, but probably from Polymorph. Which oddly enough is not one of my favourite shows, but it's right up there with sort of the top sort of 15 maybe, but I would say the scene where, you know, I've lost my anger and I've got the sort of glasses on and the goatee beard and I'm sort of saying, good point, Listy, let's put that on the back burner, shall we? That cat, thank you, I like that. I'm taking suggestions as to how to deal with the monster.
Yeah.
And we sort of go through the initials, the campaign for the liberation of da-da-da-da-da. And I think most Red Dwarf fans know what the rest of that one is. Yeah. So that's my favourite scene, one of my favourite scenes.
Alright, cool. And
there's a glorious scene right at the beginning of the new Dave era in the very first episode where, I can't remember the actor who plays him, but it's your brother comes into the picture and calls you an utter twat. That's a cherished scene for me.
It's a good scene that as well because it's you start I introduced the characters. One of my favourite lines is you suggest what we might have done to Crichton. So did you sort of
program found him in poor condition? How did you turn his life around?
What was it? We gave him a hat and we hosed him down and gave him a hat. It went better actually on the show itself.
No, it didn't. It didn't. I seem to remember that we did that a few times.
Well, we did that scene many times.
That was one of the big eye-openers for me because on the Friday night we go before a live audience. Some of it's filmed in the days. We do a bit in the days leading up that's shown to the audience, but some of it's actually live. And I was amazed by how many slip-ups there are and how many retakes.
Like how shambolic.
Because it looks so
smooth.
It does look so smooth.
But it is utter chaos.
I wonder if we've got any questions. Has anybody got any questions? This gentleman here.
We've got the Rimmer Brothers here. Have you ever thought about a Rimmer family sitcom spin-off?
At home with the Rimmers.
I think you can get as many series of that as you can Red Dwarf. Good idea. Should we take that down?
There are two other brothers that we would need. We could either have CGI versions of ourselves, which I'm sure you approve of. Or, we need two more unfortunates who look like us.
I think we could double up.
We could.
Yeah.
The age range. I think I played Frank at some point. Frank.
Okay, well I'll take John. You take Frank.
Sorted.
We've got a series.
Sorted, yeah.
You've got a family.
Good idea.
Yeah, good. I like that. You've got a question, yeah?
Did you prefer playing Ace Rimmer or regular Rimmer?
Well, Ace Rimmer was a release, was a sort of a great joy to sort of strut around playing someone the direct opposite of Smeghead Rimmer. Someone who was good at everything and very popular. But in the end, you couldn't really have that kind of character, in the words of Craig, he'd get in your pecs, and I think he's probably got a point there. So ultimately, no, I prefer playing Smeghead. He's great petrol for the comedy, and it's fun.
Anybody else? Anybody else got a question? Yeah?
say you found that shit and you kept on glitching. How do they get the effect with the eyes?
Spinning beach balls of doom.
Is that the whatever it was? I can't do it when I'm smiling.
No, okay, right. Let's do the face. But now try holding that for what was it, 20 minutes? You'll see if they. I mean, I started like this, and then by the end of the scene, I was like this, and then I was just like this, and I thought, because mate, your muscles can't sustain that, which you're supposed to be frozen in that state. And I'm thinking, okay, we're here. We're here.
And it was I sort of did it. And then Doug said, yeah, just stay like that.
No, you can't. No, you can't.
There's only a limited amount of time you can sort of stay like that.
So I was before it was on the Friday night in front of the live studio audience. I'm thinking they must be able to see that my face is now completely straight. How are they? What are we going to do? And in the edit, they've actually CGI'd my frozen face in place, which they had to do because I just look like this.
Shall we see if the audience can do it?
What? 20 minutes?
No, let's just see if they can do it.
Right then.
Yeah.
Spinning beach balls and doom face. Go.
Come on, everyone, got to do it.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's not bad.
He did a good one, just. He did, look.
You're going to do me out of a job.
Very good.
Anybody else got a question?
Don't hold it for too long.
Anybody got a question? Anybody? Yeah, no? Right.
There must be some more questions.
I've got a question. Do you know when you first went for the part, you know, the very, very first time, did you put any of yourself into the characters, or did you just do it as they wanted it?
How much Rimmer is in you?
Yes. How much?
But none of myself.
None of it.
Not one bit. No, I looked like you do in all auditions. You look at the lines, the character, the situation, and you try and what's the word? Connect.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Try and so yeah. I mean, the Red Dwarf is so well written right from day one.
Yes.
You know, the characters fairly evident to see, and you know, I was just very fortunate to have an audition. I knew Rob and Doug from the Jasper Parent show and from the radio show, from Son of Cliche. So it was. I was very flattered when they sort of said, "Come along and read for this." So yeah, I knew their sort of style of writing.
Yeah.
This was slightly different. It was a situation, but brilliant. You know, it was just great fun to do the audition.
Brilliant. And what about
Well, my journey is obviously very different, but very much based on yours. Linda Glover, our casting director, must have trawled through the actors directory for days on end trying to find some poor git who closely resembled Arnold Rimmer. And what do you know? It was bloody me. But I did have to go and meet her. I suppose. I mean, having watched the show for many years, some of you had sunk in, as it were. And so I read and.
Who have you played since? David Cameron, Tony Benn?
Yes, and
I'm not in great company there, are we, Rich?
a slightly crazed Nazi at one stage as well. Yeah, so what was to say about me? God.
Chameleonic.
Well, there we go.
just out of the box now, is there any film that you have ever been to go to an audition for and thought, I hope I get this, I hope I get that? Because obviously, you know, we've got Tomb Raider, which I absolutely love. We've got Transformers, which I absolutely love. Is there any that you just thought, I'm so glad I've got this, I'm so glad?
What, the chance to...
Yeah.
I was seen for Batman a few years ago. There were some conversations had, but I actually didn't want that. Because it said in the contract you've got to do 6 months of non-stop gym and preparation, whoever gets it. And I thought, nah.
A lot of hard work.
He always gets what he goes up for. he just demands roles and they appear.
I've never really, since doing Red Dwarf and the like, and British Empire, I mean, I can't remember going up for anything. Been up for the odd sort of cameo role in the odd movie, you know, but I've never really got it, and I've gone up for some fairly, decent, quite funny adverts actually, and I never got those either, so I'm not very successful at
Because
Really?
because the adverts were only quite funny, and if you were going to do them, they'd be extraordinarily
I
funny.
thought I could transform an ad into a funny ad. But, maybe it's because I said that at the time. But I didn't use one.
Will we ever get another British Empire?
I don't know.
That was so good.
I really don't know.
Yeah, everybody loved the British Empire.
There's a possibility that I may be back. We'll have to wait and see, shall we? Yeah.
I think we could get a lot of people that would actually love that. You know, even if we got a petition up to get it done, that'd be good.
Like you thought.
Yeah, we could actually do it.
I've been saying to people there's a little possibility that something might happen next year that might come good for the British Empire. But,
Brilliant.
We'll see, we don't know. It's such early stages, and I wouldn't put my house on it, put it that way. But let's keep our fingers crossed, and I'd love to sort of, like we've sort of brought Red Dwarf back, it would be great to bring British back and see him in a new century, in essentially a very different country to the one he was in before. So, let's hope so.
Just out of interest, does British have a brother?
Yes, he does.
Could write one in, couldn't they? We can't.
In one of the episodes, his brother appears.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Damn. I mean, great.
Had a face change.
Yeah.
Would have got taller.
He was taller than me. The guy who played the brother was.
Has anybody got another question? Yes.
Favourite episode to film? Sort of like
Favourite episode to film? Oh dear. I mean, some of the busier ones where you're doing costume changes all the time. Rimmer Worlds, where you're hopping in and out of this, doing that was. Were oddly enough not my favourite because one of my favourite films was Marooned in Series 3, where it was essentially just Craig and myself in the rear quarters of Starboat, just sort of having this duel, if you like, Camphorwood chest, Alexander the Great, all that sort of stuff, Mayday, why is it Mayday? Why not Ascension Sunday? So that was, that because it was like a little play, it was one of my favourites of the film.
I would have to say mine was Trojan, for obvious reasons.
Trojan wasn't bad either.
Anybody else? One final question. Has anybody got one more question? Anybody? Yeah, go on.
I really love the outtakes on Red Dwarf, and the question is, what is the longest you've corpsed for? Because
we've longest we've corpsed for probably most of the day. And then we've seen the pain that Robert's in after being in Brighton costume on a hot day for many hours, and then we sort of said, let's get this shot. So yeah, we'll corpse for a bit, and then you'll see some furrow brows emerging from the murks saying, guys, we've got to shoot this now. Yeah. And then suddenly we'll get. So yeah, but corpsing is great fun, but sometimes there isn't any time to corpse. There isn't any. We realise that we just have to, get it done. Otherwise, we just simply won't get the show done. So, but yeah, we're all on that wavelength. It's a weird thing, corpsing, isn't it? Because
It's horrible. It's horrible.
if it can be two of you, or it can be sort of four of you, or however many number. But it's usually an in-joke, a little thing set.
The twinkle in someone's eye.
Yeah. And no one else can understand why you're laughing. They just want to get on with the job. And yet you're sitting there and you can't say a word without going. So it's a very strange thing, corpsing, but it's strangely satisfying.
Is it a lot harder with the being a live audience?
They love it.
They love it.
Corpsing, they love it. You go on time and time again, fluffing your lines, laughing, and the audience will just absolutely fall about.
They just love it.
And then, as I say, eventually a producer figure with a watch comes along and says, we need to do this. But in their eyes, that thing about, I'm going to kill you if you don't give them the scene soon. It's all good fun.
Can we have a round of applause, please?